For those of y'all that looked at the bulletin this morning and thought you was going to get to hear a good sermon from my father, I hate to disappoint you. Also, if you're not where you can see a monitor, please move to where you can see a monitor, at least get a good look at it. We're going to have a little fun this morning before we actually start the sermon. The image on the screen, and I want everybody to participate with me on this. How many people see the image of a face? How many people see an image of a landscape? Well, the title of the sermon today is Patience, Perspective, and Perception. So let me change your perspective and give you a different perception. If you look closely, you'll notice what you thought were eyes is actually houses. And if you look at what you thought was a nose is actually a guy sitting looking at the houses. So a little bit of patience, a change in perspective can change our perception. Our Bible verse this morning comes from Job. It's one of my favorite verses. But ask the animals, and they will teach you. The birds of the air, and they will tell you. Ask the plants of the earth, and they will teach you. And the fish of the sea will declare to you. Who among all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? In his hand is the life of every living thing, and the breath of every human being. Now, that really doesn't go with the title of the sermon, I know that. But this picture, at least this piece of nature, this image of nature, has come to remind me quite regularly that if I show a little bit of patience, change my perspective, then my perception of things happen to be a little bit different than what they start with. Instead of trying to preach to you this morning, I'm just going to tell you a story about this picture. It starts several years ago with a conversation with my mother. Don't remember the exact conversation or what we were talking about, but during that conversation, Mom requested that I go find her a picture of a waterfall to hang in her house. Now, being the good son that I am, or at least that I try to be, and since there's nothing I enjoy more than being somewhere new in nature, taking pictures, it sounded like a good idea. So I did a little bit of research. I found this place up in Pennsylvania, in the Poconos, called Bushkill. Supposed to have multiple waterfalls on one hiking trail. Sounded like a good idea, so I made my plans. I drove 10 and a half hours on a Saturday to get to the Poconos. Got up Sunday morning, just walked around the compound I was staying at. Sunday afternoon, it starts raining. Monday, it rains. Tuesday, it rains. So you can see right now, my week's not going real well. Wednesday morning, sun comes out. The sky clears up. I decide I'm going to Bushkill. Grab my camera, put the address in the GPS, and off I go. Day started off good. Beautiful day. I'm in nature. I'm walking around. I'm taking pictures. About 2 hours into this, I get hot. It's humid. I'm sweating. I'm tired. And my patience starts to go south. And I start getting aggravated. Been up here for 3 days. Been walking around this place for 2 hours and have yet to see a waterfall. That's when I turned the corner in the trail, and this is what I saw. And on first glance, it just made me mad. Because look at this. This is flat land and woods. I could have stayed home and seen this. I didn't need to drive 3.5 hours. 10.5 hours. But I sat down on that bench right there to take a rest and to start thinking. And as I started thinking, regaining a little bit of my patience, you could say. I started looking through my camera at the pictures I had taken so far. And this little voice in the back of my head, and my little voice isn't nice to me, so y'all forgive me for the words I use here, but my little voice goes, "You idiot. You are out walking around in nature, having a glorious day. You're getting some good pictures. You're seeing things you've never seen before. You're never going to see again. Why have you forgotten so tied up on getting pictures of waterfalls and not enjoying what you are seeing and what you are doing?" So sitting there on that bench in the middle of nowhere, hadn't seen another living soul for 2.5 hours. It finally comes to me. If I can control my patience, I can control my perspective, and I can control my perception. So that turned out to be a great day in the woods. Now, y'all know me. I'm hard-headed. I don't always learn things the first time I'm told them. Fortunately, somebody else knows this, because this is not the only lesson this picture taught me. A few weeks later, I had made it home. Some of y'all have heard this second part. I had put the pictures into a photo album, the ones that I liked, and I was showing it to some friends and to my sister. And my sister got this strange look on her face when I said that this had become one of my favorite pictures out of the trip. It was the one I was going to blow up and hang on my wall. Had not told anybody why. But my sister looks at me and she goes, "It's a pretty picture, but I cannot stand to have that face looking at me all the time." Face? There ain't no face in that picture. I've looked at this picture a lot. There is no face nowhere in this picture. If there's a face in this picture, I'm about to be rich because I done caught a picture of Bigfoot. So, I asked my sister, I said, "Where do you see a face?" And so with a little bit of patience, I let her teach me her perspective. And if you'll look in the middle of the path, just past the bench, where the path widens out a little bit and there's rocks in the middle of the path. Now, you may have to squint your eyes, stand on one foot, and put your head down around your knees, but there is a silhouette of a man's face there in the middle of the path. So, once again, this picture taught me, with a little bit of patience, I can change my perspective, which will change my perception, and see things in a totally different light. And fortunately, thank you, sis, this picture now has a second meaning to me. It also reminds me that no matter where you go, no matter how alone you feel, somebody's always watching over you. Hope somewhere in that rambling y'all found something useful this morning. But if you would, let's say a short prayer right quick. And I don't know who remembers the minister that used to preach this, but as he used to start his prayers, "No one has seen the wind, no, not you nor I, but when trees bow down their heads, you know the wind is passing by. No one has seen the Lord, no, not you nor I, but when men bow down their heads, the Lord is passing by." Lord, so many times we forget to thank you for the little things in life that bring us joy or remind us how we're supposed to live. But if you would, Lord, just grant us the patience to change our perspective so that our perception is that every day is a good day, and that when people see us, they will understand that we have you in our life. Amen. Now, as Robin and I know your name. As Robin and Barbara get ready to play the last hymn for us, 733, and I make my way back to the area back here, just want to leave a last thought with y'all. Next time you hear a bird beating the acorn on the windowsill, or the woodpecker thumping away at a tree, take a little bit of patience, change your perspective, and hopefully your perception will be not that it's an annoying sound, but that it is a gentle reminder of what Jesus told his disciples long time ago. Look at the birds in the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet our Heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they are? Let us stand and sing.